Hello everyone and welcome back to Riverbank Railways. This is for the December update. We're almost at Christmas, so I hope everyone's gearing up for a nice holiday. Today we're talking about tarmac and we're talking about scenery. So if you remember from the last video, I was experimenting and I think my experiment worked. I was quite happy. So here we were using the acrylic paint, and I was just finding it wasn't grainy enough. I did a lot of looking at tarmac and stuff over the last while, and it wasn't grainy and crumbling up enough. So what I did was I had the concrete underneath, and then the method I used was to glue down, using PVA, some ballast, some fine black ballast, and then this created the kind of crumbly effect here, but then the whole thing was crumbly. And looking at tarmac, if you notice, the well-used areas are almost smooth, and it's only when the tarmac starts to crack and break up around the edges that it gets crumbly. So what I did was, with the middle bits, like here and up along here, I put down some baby powder and just pressed the baby powder into the areas that I thought should be smooth, and then glued it down with PVA. Then I painted over it again with another shade of the acrylic texture paint, and then I did another wash with a lighter shade, which then went down into the kind of broken up areas here and brings out the texture and brings out the color. And I was very, very happy with the result, if you have a look. So I then moved on to a larger area, same effect, gluing down the ballast all the way along, and that gives it that kind of gravelly texture you can see there. And then lots of baby powder, so all along the middle area, most of it was covered in baby powder to make it a bit smoother. And you can see the edges are where it kind of breaks up, as you would in normal life. And then once the baby powder was all glued down and set, started painting over it with various different washes of, again, that acrylic paint. It's this one here on the right, and the acrylic paint, and even some of them I mixed in some ballast into the paint as well to give it an even, you can see it's very kind of gravelly. This would be like the less used area, so you're going to get more gravel down here than you would up there. And almost by accident I found that painting the darker shades in random colors and almost in square shapes kind of worked out really well, because that's what they do in real life. You know, they repair a spot of tarmac and it's a square shape. They don't just do a random shape on it. And keeping the darker areas in the middle, kind of, it's like that's where the most of the traffic goes. And if you look at it there, I think it looks quite well. So I was very, very happy with it. And then I glued down my walls in the middle. I have more work to do on those. And what I'm doing at the moment is experimenting with moss and algae growth, as you would get on tarmac. It's an acrylic green paint, and just kind of using a sponge to dab in areas. So still working on that. But overall, if you look at it from the kind of track level, I think it works out quite well. It looks quite realistic. Very happy with it. So that was the method. The other main thing I was doing was this scenery over here. So I have my tunnel finished and in place, weathered, and I think it looks pretty good. That was a whole lot of fun, getting it all, the angles are all weird, and I had to actually put insulation on the edge of the baseboard to move it out, to give clearance for the locos to make their way around. Otherwise they'd catch the tunnel, because the track is right, it's quite tight, it's right at the edge of the baseboard. And the same over here. And then trying to glue down the tunnel and do the ballast and weather the ballast. The ballast is weathered inside the tunnel because it's only a short tunnel. And then mark out the areas that the tunnel is going to be, because I didn't want to put the tunnel down and then put a load of PVA on the ballast, because the brickwork is paper texture, so it would just soak up and ruin it. So kind of had to glue most of the ballast in place first, then put the tunnel and mark off where the tunnel was going to sit. But it worked out quite well. And then after that, then you could do the scenery going across. So it's going to kind of like have grass on top of the tunnel. It's not going to be a road or anything like that. And what I use for the scenery is it's Adigans, it's insulation board. You get it from any hardware shop. I think like in England or something, it'd be a Celotex, I think it's called. It's a different brand here, I don't know what it is, but any hardware shop will have like insulation board. It's usually about 10 centimeters thick, and you get about 8 foot by 4 foot, so it'll keep you going for a good long while. And kind of mark out the shapes and then carve it. And literally the two best tools for carving it I found were these two. Just an ordinary steak knife works its way through it, and then you can create the main shapes, and then just a small file or something like that smooths off the edges. Try and be random. Oh, I meant to say that about the tarmac as well. Be as random as you can. You know, real life is random, so random patches here and there, it doesn't matter. And the same here, random dips, gullies, and shapes. You can see here that this is one layer of the insulation, and there's another layer on top that we glued onto it. Just what, the Gorilla Glue, ordinary Gorilla, the orange stuff. So at the moment this is not glued down or anything like that. That's the next stage. It was quite tricky because it's right in the back of the baseboard, and then probably have to carve away a bit more here for clearance. I'll get on that now. So next is I'm going to glue it down, and then you have the plaster bandage, and then the what's it called, the sculpt mud, and then colouring and grass and stuff. So that's next on the cards. So that's everything. I did put LEDs into the tunnel, so I'll just do a little experiment now and see. Hopefully it'll all work. Just give us 1 second. There we go. So these were just some ordinary surface mount LEDs. They're on the near wall, so they're shining out to the far wall. They're nice and dim. They're actually, it looks brighter in the video, and I can see it. And they're nice and dim. You need to think about tunnel, it's not going to have a huge bright light in the middle of it. And shine out there is tricky to focus on when the light's off. I'll just turn the lights back on now. And there we go. You wouldn't even notice it when the lights are on, but when it's dark, I like the dim lighting. This is kind of set in the 80s and 90s. They weren't big into LEDs and stuff, so a lot of lights were sodium and dim yellow and stuff. And that's the crack. The other thing we're doing, just keep going weathering all the concrete posts. They're starting to look good, and some utility markers and stuff here. Got the wall in place along here. Starting to do some waste area here. And just experiment, put 2 of those little utility markers in here. They look pretty good, they're handy, they're easy to do. And that's it. So I hope you have a lovely holiday. Finished off these locos as well. Have a lovely holiday, relax, enjoy yourself, take a break, get some train stuff done, and I'll see you in January. Bye-bye.